do you feel about Boss giving you the name Officer Ricky? I just want to hear it from you.
Baby, I'm worth too much money to even be, sidetracked on this carpet.
No, this is not the G-Unit sneaker. Sorry. Listen, everybody over there at G-Unit, when y'all was out of business.
My gosh, can you believe what happened? Rick Ross took something that was barely even an insult and turned it into this massive drama. I mean, seriously, this led to the most explosive back and forth you've ever seen, full of nasty insults, brutal diss tracks, and non-stop provocations that had everyone talking. 50 Cent, who's basically the master of rap feuds, immediately went into full attack mode to destroy Ross' reputation. His first move dropping this absolutely savage diss track.
My whole name, and he probably gained the most stardom out of everybody, because, he raps about selling drugs.
Right.
And he never sold drugs. He was a correctional.
Ross street cred that he'd spent years building up. He's my holy name, you know, and you. He probably gained the most stardom out of everybody but you. No, he raps about selling drugs, correct? And he never sold drugs, Correctional. The song blew up everywhere. And 50 was just getting started. He took things to a whole new level by creating these hilarious skits and cartoons that Ross described as absolutely deceptive. Everyone online was eating it up, and poor Ross was totally on the defensive. Instead of just giving up, Ross fired back with his own diss tracks, desperately trying to—
You did 20, and because you did something you weren't supposed to do by street code, which said you was probably supposed to do 40. You know what I'm saying? So they're gonna look at it like that. Now, his early release now is based on, he got a time cut based upon the new law.
Right.
I got that paperwork. And what they say happened, right? With the third party cooperation for him. They got the document in the paperwork with the Tammy chick where she's saying that she was third party cooperating to get him a time cut, but she ended up having sex with the F-Fed dude. So that's which got Cuffy convicted, but then they took the time cut off the table.
Rivalry, but see, you did 20, and because you did something you weren't supposed to do by street code, which said you was probably supposed to do 40, you know what I'm saying? So they're going to look at it like that now. His early release now is based on he got a time cut based upon the new law. I got that paperwork, and what they say happened right with the third party cooperation for him. They got the document and the paperwork with the Tammy chick where she's saying that she was third party cooperating to get him a time cut, but she ended up having sex with the Fed dude, which got convicted. But then they took the time cut off the table. You won't believe how far 50 took this feud with Rick Ross. He went way beyond just making diss tracks and jokes. He dug deep into Ross' private life, one of his most shocking moves exposing Ross' history as a correctional officer, which completely undermined the hardcore street image Ross had spent years creating.
How do you feel about Boss giving you the name Officer Ricky? I just want to hear it from you.
Baby, I'm worth too much money to even be, sidetracked on this carpet.
No, this is not the G-Unit sneaker. Sorry. Listen, everybody over there at G-Unit, when y'all was out of business.
Laughing together the entire time while Ross was being humiliated. The footage went absolutely viral and made headlines everywhere, taking this beef to a whole new level of nasty. As if that wasn't enough drama, 50 then released a tape featuring another one of Ross' exartners. Can you even? The humiliation was just too much. Ross lawyers tried to fight back against 50's personal attacks, but even though 50 claimed he wasn't involved, everyone knew the truth. The damage was already done. This shocking scandal added a whole new dimension to Their already heated feud when Ross,
The window and the house was ignited. Couldn't even make it downstairs. We had to jump out the window.
You think he hired someone to do
Yes,
it?
of course. I know he's too much of a coward to do anything.
50 on the most personal level possible. How do you feel about Voss giving you the name Officer Ricky? I just want to hear from you, baby. I'm worth too much money to even be you. Sidetracked on this copy. No, this is not the gun at sneaker. Sorry. Listen, everybody over there at gun when y'all was out of business. 50 is not the type to let things slide. Instead of just dropping another diss track, he launched this entire campaign against Ross. First he released Officer Ricky Go Ahead Try Me, specifically targeting Ross past as a correctional officer, but that was just the beginning. 50 went straight for Ross' personal life by bringing in his baby mama Tia Kemp. He interviewed her, took her on these incredible shopping sprees, and let her air all of Ross' supposed financial dirty laundry. The whole drama played out online for everyone to see, making Ross look totally vulnerable and turning this feud into this massive spectacle that
Charlemagne, he would know better than that. A diabolical genius doesn't file foreclosure, doesn't file bankruptcy, it's not a diabolical.
Liz attacks the window and the house was ignited. Couldn't even make it downstairs. We had to jump out the window. You think he hired someone to do it? Yes. Of course. He's too much of a cow. Ross fired back with a barrage of diss tracks and kept trying to control his narrative, but 50 was nowhere near finished. He kept finding new ways to undermine Ross, releasing these animated skits mocking him and exposing more secrets from his past. What started as a simple rap beef had evolved into this all-out war over their reputations. 50 was absolutely determined to prove that Ross was a fraud, while Ross was desperate to.
While he was working in law enforcement.
He was a correctional officer.
So we're clear he was a correctional officer. I'm deciding to your life up. Rick, bro, I'm gonna your life up. For fun. This a few times. It's not new. I do this all the time.
Ricky's cool. He said he got $2 million.
Entire campaign first came Officer Ricky Go Ahead Try Me, which completely mocked Ross' history as a correctional officer. But for 51, diss track was never going to be enough. He followed up with a series of animated parodies showing Ross as Officer Ricky, this bumbling prison guard with zero street cred. The video went totally viral and fans couldn't ignore the irony of Ross claiming to be this big-time drug lord while having worked in law enforcement. Man, he didn't know better than that. A downer for genius doesn't file foreclosure, doesn't file bankruptcy. Doesn't. It's not a downer. Then 50 took things to a whole new level of petty. He targeted Ross' personal life by tracking down his baby mama Tia Kemp and flew her out for an exclusive interview, but he didn't stop there. He took her on this extravagant shopping spree, buying her designer bags and high-end clothes, all while filming everything for the world to see. Tia held nothing back. She
Big Meech do an Instagram video together because Big Meech is doing this big concert, and so then 50 gets upset about that. Did 50 post anything, or did he just kind of unfollow Lil Meech?
Well, he posted.
point the conflict had moved far beyond music. It was all about power, control, and public image. 50 had a very clear goal to prove Rick Ross was a complete fake and slowly dismantle his career, just like he'd done to others before. Did you know Rick, while he was working in law enforcement, he was correction officer? So we're clear, it was a correctional office. I'm deciding your life up. I'm going your life up for fun. This a few times. This is not new. I do this all the Time Ricky's cool, he said he got $2 million. Ross was absolutely determined not to. Given he fired back with Valley of Death, acknowledging his past as a correctional officer but insisting it wouldn't define him. He doubled down on his boss persona, kept making music and pushed forward with his brand, but this feud was far from over. 50 wasn't done yet, and Ross was about to find out just how far 50 was willing to go. The real Freeway Rick Ross, the actual former drug dealer, wasn't going to let this slide either, unlike other rappers who just borrowed names from notorious criminals. Rick Ross didn't just take the name, he created an entire identity around it. He WPPD about moving massive amounts of drugs, making millions, and climbing the criminal hierarchy. But there was one huge problem: he never actually lived that life. The real Freeway Rick Ross, who had served serious prison time for running one of the biggest drug operations in U.S. history, felt completely disrespected. He accused the rapper of stealing his identity and profiting from a lifestyle he never actually lived. Freeway Rick filed a lawsuit to reclaim his name and force Ross to stop using it. The legal battle dragged on for years, but ultimately ended in the rapper's favor due to legal technicalities. But the damage to Ross' image was already done. Ross and Big Meech do an Instagram video together because Big Meech is doing this big concert, and so then 50 gets upset about that. Did 50Y post anything, or did he just kind of did he just unfollow Lil Mush? Well, he posted the combination of the correctional officer revelations and the name theft controversy gave 50 Cent all the ammunition he needed to completely destroy Ross' credibility. He seized the opportunity and doubled down on the Officer Ricky persona. 50 created skits, shared memes, and even staged a fake press conference mocking Ross' law enforcement background. But Ross didn't crumble. Instead of getting caught up in a bitter war of words, he chose a different approach. He focused on his music, which turned out to be a brilliant move. Rather than letting 50 control the narrative, Ross released Deeper Than Rap, an album widely considered one of his best. Despite 50's constant mockery, Ross' music began to resonate more than all the drama surrounding him. Tracks like Mafia Music, Magnificent, and Maybach Music 2 were undeniable hits, proving that no matter what 50 threw at him, Ross still had a loyal fan base. The Officer Ricky jokes failed to slow his momentum. Just when it seemed Ross might weather the storm, 50 escalated the conflict, taking it from rap beef to personal humiliation. He announced a book, supposedly revealing all of Ross' secrets, meant to be the ultimate embarrassment. But 50 didn't stop there. He took Tia Kemp on an extravagant shopping spree and filmed the whole thing for everyone to see. He bought designer clothes, luxury bags, and took her to fancy dinners, making sure to mention Rick Ross' name throughout the entire process. The intention was crystal clear. 50 Cent was determined to tear down Ross' public image piece by piece. If using Ross' baby mama against him wasn't cruel enough, 50 had another shocking move planned in what might be one of the most ruthless acts in hip-hop history. He leaked an explicit video, allegedly featuring Lastonia Leviston, another woman with whom Rick Ross shares a child. The video was reportedly sent to him by Leviston's ex-boyfriend, and 50 wasted no time using it as a weapon against Ross. He even added his own commentary and mocked Ross while narrating the footage under the alias Pimp and Curly. This strategy backfired spectacularly. Leviston sued 50 Cent for revenge porn, and in 2015 a jury awarded her a staggering $7 million in damages. This case severely impacted 50's Finances proving that even a master of trolling can go too far, yet even after this legal disaster 50 continued to mock Ross whenever possible in interviews on social media and in his music, but something unexpected happened. Ross didn't disappear. Instead of breaking under the pressure Rick Ross kept releasing music. He doubled down on his brand, aligned himself with powerful figures, and most importantly kept delivering hit songs. His album Teflon Don cemented his place in the industry with timeless tracks like Aston Martin music and BMF blowing money fast. Though the Officer Ricky jokes